B'ezrat Hashem, with Hashem's help, we're going to speak about being simple. Rabbi Nachman speaks a lot about being simple. Someone once asked Rabbi Nachman, he said, when I'm praying and I'm saying Hashem's name, what's the deep mystical things I should be thinking? And the Rabbi said, what, just thinking about God is not enough for you? Just think about the simple meaning. That is also good. People think simple is, we want deep, we want complicated. The Rabbi is telling us simple, being simple works. It says life can be very complicated, it's true. But the main thing is to keep life simple. We want paths that work. We want practicality. We want things that are going to lead us to more success and from one step to the next. And if it's more complicated, we're going to get tired, we're going to get worn out, we're going to chas v'shalom fall. That's why we need to make it simple. When it's simple, we have the freedom to be able to be more successful and he'll free up a lot of our energy. But it's very hard to be simple. Can you believe that? You would think being simple is easy. But actually it's one of the most hardest things, Rabbi Nachman says. It's very difficult. But you'll speak to a lot of people and they'll tell you being simple, especially in New York, being simple, it's dumb. Who wants to be simple? I want to be a complicated person with a nice special profession and a nice wardrobe and specific tastes in food and hobbies. I want to be a complicated and thorough person. And they'll tell you that being simple is dumb. But Rabbi Nachman writes in the Maran, the main goal of a Jew is to serve Hashem with simplicity, being simple, with no sophistication. He says, how do you say in the Torah's Hebrew? How do you say simple? Tam. Tam means simple in Hebrew.
T-A-M?
Yes. And what do we mean when we say Tam, simple person? We know Yaakov, he was Ish Tam Yoshev Oalim, the pasuk says. He was a simple man sitting in the tent. Why does the Torah have to tell us our forefather? You want to know something about him special? You didn't say he's smart. We didn't say he's wealthy. You didn't say he was so holy. The Torah is giving us one opportunity to try to understand who he is. What does it say? He was tam. He was simple. Must be being simple is a great thing because they're telling us that's what our forefather was. So what does it mean to be simple? To be simple does not mean to be dumb. And being simple doesn't mean have no intelligence. Being simple means straightforward, not planning a secret plan behind everyone's back, and being clear to the person's face like water. They could see through you. What I'm saying is what I'm saying. Very simple. I'm not trying to get something out of you. I'm not playing you. I'm not two faces. I'm simple. I'm not complicated. What I'm telling you yes means yes and no means no. And I'm not trying to play as if I'm something else. It's pure. It's real. You know, sometimes people like to hide feelings from people. Or people like sometimes to not say what they feel to the person, and they'll hide a feeling, and they'll hide a thought, and they'll hide what they're trying really to do in that situation. And maybe sometimes a guy is friends with you, but just to gain something out of it, not really because he cares about you. He's being a little bit fake, or he's being friendly with somebody, and he's like, yeah, like, you know, but he doesn't want to hurt the guy, but at the same time he is hurting the guy because he's being very fake to him, and he thinks people don't realize. And a lot of times that's where we have to be simple. You have to say it in a nice way. Listen, what you're doing is sometimes bothering me. Or listen, I have this issue and I want to be open about it. I know not a lot of people talk about this issue, but I need to. I want to be simple and just say it as it is. And this is what we're trying to explain when we talk about Yaakov being a simple person. With the Jewish people, in the Shir HaShirim, Song of Songs, it says, Hashem praises us by calling us Yonati Tamati, my dove, my simple one. So why does Hashem praise us? The Jewish people are so wonderful. They're simple, my simple one. So you see, it's a praise to be simple. In Sefer Devarim, in the last book of the 5 books of Moshe, it says, Tamim tiyeh im Hashem Elokecha. Be simple with Hashem, your God, your Lord. What does it mean, be simple with your God? Be simple. What we're saying now. Don't be complicated with Hashem. Serve Hashem with simplicity. So, Rabbi Nachman once said a situation where being simple was like something odd to people. He told them how the importance of living in Israel. And he said it's a very holy place. And he said how people hear from him this lesson and they think that Israel is supposed to be like Disney World. You go there and you see the magic carpets and you see the holy tzaddikim and you see miracles upon miracles and you feel like, wow, how could you not believe in God when you live here? You see the magic dust floating in the air. They think that's what Israel is going to be, because the way the rabbi's talking about it, it makes it sound like it's the greatest place on earth. And he says to them, they don't realize that I'm talking about simply living in Israel. And you're living simple in Israel. That itself is the holiest thing. They think that there has to be like a whole show and a whole ordeal going on in Israel for it to be good. No, living in Israel is very simple. People live very simple there. But it works. They get the job done. They do what they need to do. And that is what we have to realize is good. Being simple with Hashem. But a lot of times, who gets involved and stops us from being simple? Yitzhara, evil inclination. So what does he do? He uses this thing called imagination. We start using our imagination against ourselves. That's what it means, the tree of good and bad, good and evil, right? They ate from the tree of good and evil, and that's what the serpent, right? The Nachash, he convinced them to eat it. And what was the power that they got? Imagination. When do you start mixing bad and good? When you have your imagination. Your imagination tells you, your Tahara tells you, this is bad, no, it's really good, you should do it, get it over with now, and you won't do a sin later, Hashem wants you to do this now, and he starts mixing and matching things. So this is where we have to be careful to not give in to our imagination. A lot of times, people are looking for something to stand out. They want to stand out. I want to have that coat nobody has. I want to have that car nobody has. I want to have that job nobody has. And it's a problem because it could mean that we're doing things not for ourselves and making our life more complicated for no reason. We get frustrated because we don't have those things. And we think we need those things. And we fool ourselves and we convince ourselves that these things that call attention from people is going to make us happy. And it's not really true. They have a famous saying that people buy things they don't need with money they don't have to impress people that they don't care. And what happens? Who's sad? You. And then you beat yourself up and you're upset, and then you do buy that thing, but then you look at your bank account and you're like, wow, I owe so much money on my credit card, this is so annoying. And in the end, it was just a complication to make your life harder to serve Hashem for no reason. So we get carried away sometimes. Everybody has that, everybody has this. And we just have to be simple. I know a guy who sometimes wears the same thing, the same outfit 2 days in a row. Why? Because it all works for him. He didn't have time to pick something out, so he wore the same thing he wore yesterday. It wasn't dirty. Nobody will really care. And he goes to work and he gets the job done. But at the end of the day, he does it because he's simple. It works for him. He does not care what everybody else says and spend another 20 minutes because I have to be the one who stands out. And he realized that when you start caring more about yourself and how other people say, and when you start caring about what really works for you, you'll be more efficient. You'll be more successful. You'll have more time and more energy to do what really matters in life, and not spend all this time and money and effort to try to fit in with everybody else and fooling ourselves that that's what's going to make us happy. There's a famous story with Rav Galinsky, alav shalom, where there was a guy who was building his house, and he has a contractor, and him, the owner of the house, was standing in front of the house, and they finished the house, just now they're doing the outside, the front. And he was telling the contractor, I want this kind of brick on the outside, and I want a fountain here, and I want a bush over here and the garden like that. And Rav Galinsky is passing by, he bumps in. And he starts telling the contractor, don't listen to him. We're going to have this color brick. We're going to have no fountain, a path over here, this kind of flowers. And the owner of the house is going, what are you doing? This is my house. I paid for all this. Who are you to come and say how to build it? He said, listen, Mr. Owner of the house, we live not too far from here. We're your neighbors, okay? When you come to your house, you're going to see the front of your house for 5 seconds, park your car, and go inside your house. That's it. Shalom Yisrael. But us, we're the neighbors. We never go inside your house. Only thing we see is the outside of your house. So we see more than you. So who are you really doing this for? For you or for us? For us. So we should choose. We should choose what goes outside in the house. You're doing it for us. So he says that this is a big lesson for all of us. A lot of times we have to ask ourselves, why are we doing what we do? Why are we going out of our way to do this thing, or to buy that, or to make sure we have that? Are we really doing it for ourselves, or are we really doing it for other people? Do we really care, or are we just doing it because everybody else is doing it? Rav Belsky, alav shalom, he used to say that in halacha, a lot of people, they do things and they don't know why. They say, you ask them, wait, you're not allowed to do that. Why are you doing that? He says, what do you mean? Everybody does it. But I see everybody does. So I do it also. He says that's a very big mistake that they call that everyone has their favorite rabbi. You know what everyone's favorite rabbi is? That everybody does it. Everybody does. So they look to everybody else and they think that that's what they have to do also. There's a follower. But our forefathers, what were they? Our forefathers, their job was always a shepherd. They were always a shepherd. They weren't a sheep. Follows, everybody goes, I go. No, they were shepherds. They were leaders. They showed the way. They made a path that was brand new, that didn't exist before. And this is what we have to learn from them. So he says that we have to mean what we say, and we have to be simple in not having ulterior motives. We have to have no secret reasons why we do things. We have to be very, very honest, very pure, and everything has to be at face value. Obviously, we can't be with other people super simple, because we don't want to be taken advantage of, right? The Masechet Derech Eretz tells us that when you have guests over, you have to respect them. Let's say you meet a guy in the street. I'm Jewish. I'm sorry, can you help me? I don't have a place for Shabbat. It's Friday afternoon. Can I stay by you? Oh, yeah. You're a simple guy. You see a mitzvah, you do it, right? So like, of course, come to my house. I'll feed you, I'll take care of you. Tell me your life story. How did you get here? Okay. But the Gemara says you can't be so simple that they'll take advantage of you. Who knows if this guy's a crooked guy? He'll come and he'll take all your money and you're sleeping and run away. So that's why the Masechet Derech Eretz says you have to respect him but suspect him. Understand? You can be simple. You can respect him. You can do the mitzvah all the way. But at the same time, you have to be suspecting him. You can't be dumb. Yaakov Avinu, he was simple, it's true, but who did he work for? He worked for Lavan. Lavan, he was the trickiest guy in the world. And he changed, the Midrash says, he changed his wages over 100 times. He played him, he switched the daughters on him, he made him work another 7 years. But Yaakov, he was simple, but he didn't let himself get taken advantage of. He was strong. He was willing to deal with all this nonsense, and he was smart about it. And in the end, he succeeded. He got what he needed, and he left very rich. Everything, there's a whole story how Lavan said, I want these kind of sheep, and you only get the spotted type and the patterns. And in the end, Hashem made it that all of them started giving birth to that pattern type, and then Yaakov got a lot of them. So you see how he was simple, and he was willing to deal with the nonsense Lavan went through, and he was still successful at the end of the day. He wasn't taken advantage of. So it doesn't mean to be simple. It doesn't mean to just let people do whatever they want with you. So he also talks about being simple with life in general, with money, with our health, but at the same time not being dumb in those matters. We have to take our money seriously. We have to be smart with our money and how we invest it, and not be so simple in that sense. And also not be so simple-minded when it comes to our health. We have to not just do whatever the doctors tell us and take it for granted and just think that we live and die by their word. No, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is in charge. He is the one who gives life and death out, and He is the one who we have to ultimately turn our eyes to and pray to. So in that sense, we have to not be so simple to let other people tell us what to do. We have to, at the end of the day, throw our faith in Hashem. So we can't be foolish. We have to be smart. But when we're smart, we're simple. And we have to realize that Rabbi Natan told us, being simple, you'll never stumble. The simple people never stumble. There's a pasuk in Mishle, Proverbs, where it says that he who follows the simple path will go securely. He'll never have anything wrong with him. You shouldn't think because I'm being simple, people will take advantage of me and I'll lose and I'll be the sucker. It's not true. There's a process in heaven why everybody gets what they get. And you have to realize, you have to trust that. To trust the process. Right? Hashem protects the foolish. He definitely does. We said examples in Masechet Shabbat. Right? The Gemara says that you're not allowed to bloodlet on a certain day. Right? Because it's bloodlet. Right? They used to cut themselves. The doctor used to cut them and they would give blood. And then this was healthy for the body. Because you would let out blood and your body would make new blood. So they used to do this back in the day in the times of the Gemara. And they believed it was healthy. But the Gemara says you shouldn't do it on Erev Shabbat. Right? And you shouldn't do it...
You shouldn't do it at all, or you shouldn't do it at Erev Shabbat?
Erev Shabbat. And then the Gemara said there's a specific reason why it wasn't healthy. And then the Gemara says, but there's so many people who do it and they don't know. They don't know you're not supposed to. What's going to happen to them? They're all going to get this problem. They're all going to suffer. And because you're telling me it's not good to do it. So the Gemara says, Shomer Petayim Hashem. Hashem is going to protect the simple people. Meaning the simple people who don't know that you're not allowed to. So they're simple, but Hashem's protecting them. So you see the Gemara says that Hashem protects the simple people. The same thing with Masechet Yevamot. It talks about how a person shouldn't do Brit Milah on a cloudy day because it doesn't heal, the circumcision doesn't heal properly. And they used to do it outdoors, and there used to be a northern wind that would bring health. And the Gemara says, but there's some people who don't know this halakha, and what was going to happen to them? Their babies are going to die. So the Gemara says again, Shomer Petayim Hashem. Hashem protects the simple people. So you see how Hashem goes out of His way to protect the simple people. There's not going to be a chance that they're going to take advantage of, that they're going to lose. They're going to be the sucker. So they used to say, one of the great Breslov rabbis used to say, so you have to accept people, but you have to be careful. And you have to always say, it's a pleasure to deal with people. I'm very simple. People are very good. But at the end of the day, when I come home, I count my change. I make sure I have enough. I make sure they gave me what I need. It's true, I love people. But at the end of the day, I have to make sure I'm not getting taken advantage of. I have to not be, so gullible. So now, so much so was Rabbi Nachman into this idea of simplicity, is that one time Rabbi Natan someone asked him, can you explain to me free will? How does free will work? If Hashem knows everything's going to happen in the future, so how could we ever choose? Hashem already decided for us. So he said, there are a lot of commentaries that give a lot of complicated answers. There's the Ramban, there's books you could buy just on free will. Rabbi Nachman said it's very simple. If you want, you do. If you don't want, you don't do. That's it. That's free will. There you go. You don't need to know more than that. So he said, Rabbi, I have such a difficulty with this one sin. I feel like I have no free will. Rabbi Nachman will tell you, if you really want it, you're going to do it. If you know why you didn't do it, because you didn't really want it. That's it. Simple. Don't tell me, it's all dependent on this. It's simple. It's very simple. If you want it, it's going to happen. There's a famous story where this guy, he wanted to be successful in business. So there was a guru. You know these motivational speakers, they go around. So he was giving motivation in business. And he told this guru, this speaker, he said, listen, I want to be successful in business. Can you please give me a one-on-one session? Tell me. He's like, you really want to be successful? He's like, yeah, 100%. He says, all you have to do is come tomorrow morning at dawn, and you have to meet me at the beach. And this is this place at 5 a.m. He says, yeah, that's it. He says, no, don't worry. Yeah, just come and we'll speak. He says, okay, no problem. He comes, he thought he's going to talk about business. He's going to meet some people so early in the morning. He comes in his suit, looking like for business. And he sees the guru standing by the sand. So he goes to him, hi, how are you? Good morning. What's going on? Okay, what do we have to do? He says, you really want to be successful? He says, yeah. He says, you have to go in the water. Go in the water? I thought we were talking about business, be successful in business. He's like, listen, who's the guru, me or you? You got to listen to what I'm telling you. Okay, I guess, I don't know. So he goes, and with his suit, his shoes, gets them wet, he goes into his knees in the water. He says, okay, now what? Let's go, I want to be successful. He's like, you really want to be successful? He says, yes, why am I here? Look, I'm in the water. He says, you have to go deeper. He says, okay, go deeper, I'll go. He goes all the way a little bit deeper. And he's already to his chest in the water. And the guru goes in the water also. He says, you really want to be successful? He says, yes, what do you want me to do? He takes his head and he starts pushing him in the water. And he starts drowning him. And he's thinking while he's drowning, what an idiot I am. I come and meet this guy in my suit, I ruined my clothes. This guy is meeting me 5 a.m. at the beach. Now he's going to kill me. Nobody can save me. I'm such an idiot. Why did I come all the way here? How am I going to be successful in business now? I'm going to kill me. Nobody's going to save me. He's drowning him, and he's drowning him, and he's drowning him. And he's fighting him. He's trying to punch. He's trying to move. He can't do anything. The last second, before he passes out, he pulls him out. He finally gets his breath. He says to him, the day you want to be successful as badly as you want to breathe right now, that's when you're going to be successful. That's when it's going to happen.
Oh, yeah?
That's the secret. And he says to him, now you understand the lesson? And he's like, wow, I finally got it.
He didn't kill him?
He didn't kill him. He wanted to teach him a lesson. And he's saying what Rabbi Nachman is saying. Rabbi Nachman is saying, if you really want it, it's going to happen. If you don't really want it, it's not going to happen. So that's all we have to know. Be simple. If you have a simple will, and your will is very strong, it's going to happen. You're going to be able to be successful. He says, we have to be simple in mitzvot also, Rabbi Nachman says. A lot of people get very complicated with mitzvot. What should I learn? How should I learn? How much should I learn? Who should I learn from? What class I should listen to? What should I read? Should I read Tehillim? Should I read Chumash? Should I read Gemara? Should I read Rabbi Nachman? And they get lost thinking, what should they do? And the next hour, he doesn't even learn. He's just busy thinking what book he should buy and what book he should do and what class he should be part of and what should he start and It's like the guy, he's in college, he doesn't know what to do with his life, he's 4 years waiting, figuring out what job he should get into, and he just never chooses anything, just wastes all the time. And so that's what happens in mitzvot sometimes. So he says you have to be simple, okay, you learn, you study Torah, you say Tehillim, you sing, you whatever it is, just you're serving Hashem at the end of the day. You just have to try to serve Hashem. That's the main thing. Doesn't matter if it's perfect every time. Doesn't matter if it's exactly what you planned. You're learning. You're singing. You're saying Tehillim. Just be simple. Serve Hashem. Don't be so caught up into thinking and trying to figure it out. And the Yetzer Hara is very good at that. He'll make you be busy. Oh, what should we do? How should we do? Plan. Never do anything. Rabbi Natan has a beautiful chidush. He says sometimes a person, he's so busy trying to make something perfect, trying to do something good, that he's so busy with it, he didn't even do the mitzvah. He's so busy trying to do the mitzvah, he didn't even do the mitzvah. What does that mean? You can have a guy who wants to do the mitzvah of sukkah, let's say. Sit and sleep in the sukkah, eat in the sukkah, build the sukkah. but he wants the perfect sukkah, and he wants this type of wood and this type of schach, and he wants a bed in the sukkah, and he wants a sink in the sukkah, and he's making sure all the halachot are okay and very good, and the whole holiday he's trying to make sure the sukkah is perfect, the decorations and the light and he's so busy with all that stuff that the whole holiday passed. He didn't even pay attention 1 minute to the concept of the mitzvah of the sukkah. The sukkah is about leaving your permanent home, going to a temporary home. This world is only temporary, and to realizing that we have to have olam haba always in front of our eyes. And he never stopped to think about these things because he's so busy with trying to do in the mitzvah perfect. So Rabbi Natan is saying, sometimes you have a guy who's trying so hard to do the mitzvah, he never even did the mitzvah. He didn't even do it because he was being so complicated, and he didn't even do the mitzvah. That's why the Jewish people, thank God, they have books. They're a nation of the book. We have a book. We do what the book says. That's it. We don't have to sit here figuring out what do we have to do. We do the book, what the book says. We have Shulchan Aruch, the code of Jewish law. We see what it says. That's what we do. Rabbi Nachman is very into not being overly strict. A lot of people become very religious or Baal Teshuvah. They like to do all the stringencies. I want to do the best for Hashem. I want to be so strict. I want to do the best of the best. But a lot of times, it's too much for them. A lot of times they get choked. A lot of times they fall apart. They lose their strength. They lose their excitement and their motivation because it's too much for them. So he says, you have to do what works. You keep the Jewish law. Keep the halacha. Don't be overly strict. Do what works. Be normal. Be simple. Don't be so complicated. In the end, one stringency will make you not keep another mitzvah. He says, no. You have to pray every day in sunrise minyan. Once it's sunrise, that's the first time you can start praying shachrit. That's when you have to pray. And he's so into it, he wants to do it strict. What happens? Because he wakes up so early, once he comes home from work, he eats, he falls on the couch, he can't get up. He has to go to Arvit, he has to pray Arvit. He can't because he's so tired, he woke up so early. So you understand how one stringency can make it that he loses out on a different mitzvah, and being complicated here doesn't let him be even simple over there. So a person has to be simple through and throughout. He says, look at the Jewish people. How did they accept the Torah? A very simple way. What did they say? Moshe said, you want the Torah? They didn't even know what's inside. They said, Hashem, Na'aseh v'nishma. We will hear, right? We will do and we will listen. That's it. We will do what it says, and then we'll listen, and then we'll start understanding. But right now we don't understand, it's okay, we'll do. Simple. I'm going with the flow. A person has to have in his life this concept. There's people who say, I don't understand. If I don't understand, I'm not going to do it. I have to understand it first. And if we go through all the 613 mitzvot, till you understand every single one, only then you'll do it, so you won't keep anything. So a person has to do all of them. Try to do as much as you can. Slowly, every night, every day, you learn more and more. You start growing and understanding more and more why you do what you do. But at the end of the day, we start off being simple. We be simple. We just do it because we know it's the right thing to do. Rabbi Nachman is very simple in regards to halacha. In Breslev, people think that sometimes that, there's Ashkenaz and there's Sephardic, and then there's Yemenite, and then there's Yeki, German, and there's Hasidish, and then they think that there's Breslev, and it has its own customs and its own laws and its own way of dress. It's not true. Breslev is very simple. Breslev is, they don't have their own laws. Rabbi Nachman, you would ask him, what's the law, what's the custom of the Breslevers in this situation? He'll tell you, go open the Shulchan Aruch, open the book of the code of Jewish law and see what it says. That's what we do. There's no set rule of what you have to wear to be a Breslever. There's so many people that are Breslevers and study Rabbi Nachman's Torah, you would look at them, you would never even know. You would never even imagine that he's a Breslever. And he studies right, and he does it burdu every day, and he goes to Uman. You were never thought. There's so many people like that.
Some of them wear white hats.
Yeah, a lot of them wear the big white kippas.
Yeah.
And if you go to Uman, you'll see they're wearing a lot of the fur hats, and they wear the long coats, and they have sometimes peyot, very long. And the coats are white. Yeah, on the holiday. Yeah. And but it's not because Breslov told them to do that. It's because that's what they wore before anyways.
Right.
It's not like when you join Breslov, they say, okay, now you have to change your clothes and change how you dress and change how you grow your hair. It's not true. And it's because Rabbi Nachman said it's about being simple. These things don't really, they do matter, but they don't really matter to the point where if you don't do it, then you can't be part of us. No, very simple. We do what the Torah says. We're here just to study certain type of Torah. We're trying to listen to a certain advice, but not necessarily does it have to be that we get so caught up into the customs. So he says that we have to be simple, and in the mitzvot, which is very, very important, and he said that we have to wish to be able to accomplish that, to reach this level of simplicity. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu, all the mitzvot help us to come closer to God and to be more and more like godly, and more holy. And we have to realize that Hashem is ultimately very simple. You know how we know Hashem is very simple? We always declare every day, Hashem is our God, Hashem is one. You know what's the most simple number? 1. 0 is very complicated.
Right.
0 is a very hard number to understand. And in math, 0 causes a lot of problems. But 1 is very, very simple. 1 is unity. 1 is when everything fits and everything's one. It's very simple. You see the whole picture. When there's too many parts, you start getting confused. You start forgetting about other things. You start, losing it. When it's one, it's very simple. Hashem is one. Hashem is very simple. And we have to be like that. We have to realize it's very good to be simple. And when we're simple, we're very united. We'll be able to have peace. We'll be able to go through life in a easier way. And a lot of times, people suffer from anxiety. People suffer about hoping things go their way. And a lot of times, people are very, very knowledgeable, very smart, very strong, very capable. But why do they crumble, and why do they do sins, and why do they feel depressed and anxiety? It's because they do it to themselves. How do they do it to themselves? They set for themselves very high goals, and because they don't reach these high goals, they beat themselves up. And they say, look, I didn't do this, and I was supposed to do that, and I didn't do that. What am I good for? And they throw sand on themselves, and they beat themselves up. It's called self-demonization. They make themselves like a demon. Oh, I'm no good. I'm a failure. And really, they did a lot of good. Oh, but because they got that kid who brings the test to his father, he got a 95. He says, where's the 5%? Why are you only for 95? Why not 100? But I got 95. No, why not the 5%? So there's two ways to looking at it. So, Nachman's telling us that we have to be simple over there also. He's not meaning to say that we have to have low standards. No, you can have high goals, huge standards. You could say you want to change the world, reach the moon, become a billionaire. That's fine. But don't let it break your feelings. Don't let it make you depressed. Don't let it ruin your day. You understand? You could have a person who wants to be a billionaire, but it's 9 o'clock at night, and there's no business more to be done, and he's upset with himself. I'm not a billionaire yet. I have to be a billionaire. What do you want to do? You can't be a billionaire now. All the market is closed. It's 9 o'clock at night. Just relax. Go do something else. Go learn. Go speak to your family. So a lot of times, there is a certain point in our day where we can't do anything else. So what's the point of being nervous and being angry and getting anxiety and I need it, I want. Okay, tomorrow will come, you'll be able to try again, but for now, don't beat yourself up, don't be emotional about it, because you don't gain anything. So, in that sense, we also have to be simple. People today, they take medicine, pills, for not to have anxiety. They're thinking too many thoughts. They're worried what's going to be. Instead of saying, I'm going to be successful, they're thinking there's going to be 50 ways I could fail. How am I going to make sure I don't fail? They're thinking automatically negative, like, oh, maybe this goes wrong. What about if this goes wrong? What if that goes wrong? And they can't even enjoy the moment because they're so having anxiety. The guy goes on the vacation to Florida, and he's busy making sure the reservation's okay, and he's busy making sure that the rental's okay, and he's busy worried maybe if it's going to rain, what are we going to do? I hope the restaurant is open. Is the food good? He's just thinking about all these things, and his family's like, we're going on a walk in the park. Can you just be with us? Can you just enjoy for what it is? Forget all this stuff. Just be present. Be here with us. And this is what a lot of times we go through in our life. This anxiety doesn't let us be ourselves, doesn't let us be in the moment. And somebody has to come and pinch us and say, where are you? Hello? We're here. Relax. You know? So this is why it's very important. Rabbi Nachman speaks so much about being simple. Rabbi Nachman has one of the greatest stories in regards to being simple. Right? There's a story of the sophisticate and the simpleton. Right? There's two guys who grew up in the same town, and they reached the age of 18, and their fathers told them, that's it, go make your life. They kicked them out, go get a job, get married, figure your life out. You can't stay with us anymore. So they both left. But the difference between the two guys was he was very simple and he was very complicated. He was a very simple guy. He left his father's house. He said, I want to have a simple life. I want to have a life that works, that's not complicated. No issues. He saw people make money every day by being a shoemaker. He saw in the market that's a good job. It's a steady income. Okay, it's not $1 bajillion every month, but you pay your bills. I'll become a shoemaker. What does everybody say? Is it really the most respectable job? Are you becoming rich from it? Doesn't matter. It works. Practical. So he goes, he becomes a shoemaker. He marries a simple girl in the community. He lives next to his family. He doesn't make so much money, but he has what to eat. He eats his bread. He pays for the food. He pays for the bills. He wasn't so rich. Winter came. He only could afford one coat, one big fur coat, and him and his wife would share it. It didn't bother him that his wife wore his coat and he wore his wife's coat. He was simple. It worked. It kept me warm when I go outside. It wasn't pink. It wasn't red. It was black. It was brown. It was something that goes for both. It works. It did its job. Practical. So he goes and he wore it. It didn't bother him. His wife used to bother him and say, yeah, but look, they're going on vacation. And that family, they have this. And they live like that. And look how this shoemaker makes his shoes. Your shoes, you make them into triangles. You don't make it nice and smooth. He said, listen, I get my paycheck. I get my money. What do I care what other people have? What do I care how he makes his shoes? I do what works. I do what's good for me. And he was very, very simple. Very happy person. He had a lot of success in his life. He had a job. He had his family. He went and he lived his life in a way that he expected it. That he was successful. He accomplished his goals. And that was him. Then his friend, who also left his house, it was complicated. He was a guy who said, I'm smart, I'm strong, I expect a lot of myself. I have to be the best of the best. A shoemaker? I'm not going to be a shoemaker. What is that? That's like nothing. It's a joke. I want to be respectable. I want everybody to say my name and know who I am. And so he went and he saw, what do people respect? He saw in the market, everybody respects, and the most money was in the diamond district. He went to the diamond district of the market and he saw big money over there. He saw a lot of fancy people over there, rich people. He says, that's what I'm going to get involved with. And he started becoming a goldsmith, a guy who makes gold, who makes it into shapes and makes it into jewelry. So he started learning and he learned it and he started making money. And he saw that through his connections, he saw there's other markets he didn't know about. There is these secret markets that you go to because you're very powerful and you have a lot of connections. And he goes there and he sees that gold is not really what people care about. It's the precious stones, sapphire, ruby, diamond, that's really the big stuff. That's the big leagues. He said, wow, I'm missing the point. I have to become a diamond cutter. I have to become a gem cutter. He starts to go and he drops his job and he goes and he learns to become a gem cutter. And he spends a lot of time learning it and he finally learns it. And he starts selling, he starts making, but he was very, very overachiever. And he wanted everything perfect. So when he didn't cut perfectly, even though he sold it and the person was happy who bought it, he himself knows, I could have done better. It wasn't perfect. I wanted it. He was this type of person. And then slowly but surely, he met more and more people, and he saw that there was these people who came to buy gems from a different country, and they wore those long shoes, the pointy shoes, that start curling at the top, and they were looking like they were majestic. They were like royalty. I don't know what they were wearing. They were wearing gold as robes, and they had these hats, and it was unbelievable. And I asked, where are you guys from? You guys look so beautiful, so amazing. He said, well, you were from Italy. You should come over there. You should see what they have over there. Way better than what they have here. He's like, really? Wow. So he goes all the way to Italy and he sees they're way better at what they do over there. There's a whole other league he didn't know about, and he starts working so hard to be part of them and to be like them on their level until finally he gets there. And then one day in the market came the doctor. And when the doctor came, everybody started kissing his hand and asking him for advice. And he was like the Rabbi, Everybody was like around him. He was so respected. Everybody stopped what they were doing. And he was like, wow,
I want to be like that.
I need to be like that. So he dropped everything. He says, I'm going to go become a doctor. And he went to become a doctor. He finally became a doctor. He realized he was 30 years old. No money, no honey. And what life does he have? He was busy chasing. He doesn't feel full. He feels empty. He says, that's it, I'm just going to go home. I'm just going to go home. What do I have to do here anymore? So he goes all the way back home. And his friend, he sees him. The simple man. He sees him and he says, oh my goodness, how are you? I haven't seen you in so long. What's going on with you? He says, don't ask. I went here, I went there, I did this, I did that. I switched my job who knows how many times. I was always worried about the future and always complaining about the past. I didn't know what was going to be, and anxiety, and I wanted to impress other people, and I never was, I never felt full in my life. What about you? I hope yours was better. I says, yeah, I got married, I have a job, I pay for my bills, I'm happy with my job, I have my kids, I have all my needs taken care of. Everything's working, it works. I'm happy. And he's like, you know what? I'm jealous of you. I really am jealous of you. In the beginning, I thought you were dumb, and I thought like you didn't get anywhere in your life, and I thought like, oh, he's simple. You forget him. What is he worth? And in the end, you have way more than me. I have nothing. You have everything. That's the secret of what Yaakov told Esav. They met each other, and Yaakov said to him, "Hi, how are you? What's going on with you?" And Esav said, "I have a lot." And Yaakov was saying, "I have everything." What does that mean? When Esav was trying to impress, right? And he said, like, "I have everything. I have a lot." Like, wow, look how much I have. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, it's not enough. It's not enough. You're always gonna want more. Mm-hmm. But Yaakov, with whatever he had, he said, "I have everything. Whatever I have, I'm happy with it. Simple." And once you do that, you're always gonna feel you have everything. You're always going to feel that you have enough. So this is the power and the blessing that a person can bring to himself to be able to handle the ups and downs in life. Is to every day, don't expect the same. Don't expect perfection. Be simple. Have high standards, but don't kill yourself. And we know that the Jews, their calendar follows the moon. We follow the lunar calendar. The Goyim, they follow
both, no?
We follow both, but in the days of the year we follow the moon, and we use the sun for other parts of the calendar and for the leap years. Like every once in a while we have a leap year with an extra month. That way we catch up to the solar calendar. But the Goyim, they follow the solar calendar 100%. That's why they have 365 days. The Jewish calendar has 354 days. And we bless the new month. When do we do the new month? According to the moon, right? And the day starts at night for us, as opposed to in the morning, right? As opposed to whatever, midnight, whatever the other Goyim do. But what's the lesson, deep, practical, mystical lesson we learn from this? Is the Goyim, they follow the sun. That means the sun rises in the one side and goes down the other side of the earth, right? Every single day the same way. Goyim, they think their lives have to be like that. They follow the sun. They say my life has to be the same every day. You look at his phone. He has the planner. He has the calendar. The all his activities. I'm gonna go to work at this time. I'm gonna go to the gym at this time. I'm gonna eat lunch at this time, and this is my meeting, and everything has to go perfect. And if it doesn't, he starts going crazy. He loses it, right? But what does the Jew do? The Jew says, we bless the moon. We follow the moon. The moon is not the same every day. The moon one day is big, one day is small, one day you don't see it at all. A lot of light, 50% light. Some days I have no light. I'm dead, right? But it's part of life. We continue. Tomorrow's going to be a different day. It's part of life. And we bless the new moon in the beginning of the month to say, Jew, look at the moon. Look at the moon. The moon is going to change. It's big, small, in between, a small little banana. You're going to be the same. Your month is not going to be the same every day. It's going to be big, small one day, and then it's going to change, and you're going to feel great, and you feel like I want to serve Hashem. One day you feel like I don't want to do anything, and how do I get out of this? And it's normal. And don't get nervous about it. Don't have anxiety. Just be simple and keep on going. And B'ezrat Hashem should give us a lot of help to be simple and to be able to see past all the nonsense and not to get caught up in what everybody else is doing, because not everything everybody else does works for everybody. And not every single thing that's out there is for us. We have to do what's good for us, for our family, what makes us happy, and what makes the Kadosh Baruch Hu happy. And B'ezrat Hashem, we'll see a lot of success, a lot of blessing with the coming of the Mashiach. Amen, amen.